let's talk about operating a clean room while controlling the contamination. Aren't you wondering how they did it? So in this video, we are going to talk about how they do the controlling of the contaminations inside the clean room. So the hazard analysis and critical point are also called as the HACCP. They have a 7-step approach for the contamination control, but this requires also some addition or rearrangement of the steps. It will be more understandable to the user. In this video, I am going to talk about the first step approach of the HACCP. So the first step approach is identify the sources of contaminations in the clean room. Construct a risk diagrams to show the sources and the routes of contamination. There are many examples of sources of contamination in a clean room, and these are as follows: dirty areas adjacent to the clean room, unfiltered air supply, room air, surfaces, people, and also the machine as the machine operates. Raw materials is also included as the source of contamination, containers, and also the packaging.
2. Assessments of the importance of hazard. In step 2, all the possible sources contamination in the clean room and the routes of transmission. So here they are. First, the amount of contamination on or in the source that is available for transfer. Second, the ease by which the contamination is dispersed or transferred. Third, the proximity of the source to the critical point where the product goes. Fourth, how easily the contamination can pass through the control method. And that is the important factor in step 2. And in step 3, we have identification of method of control hazard when all the hazard in clean room had been identified and their degree risk assessed. Step 1, we have here HEPA or OLPA. Step 2, airborne contamination. 3, although cleanroom air is transfer route, is also a source such airborne contamination can reduce the use of conventional ventilation. And here's the transfer contamination, people disper contamination, contamination from the machine, and raw materials. Raw materials is used to make product or products assembled, as well in containers and packaging. And it is materials that are not sufficiently clean will require to be cleaned or the fluid filtered. That's all.
Good day. Sampling methods to monitor hazard and control methods. It will now be necessary to set limits to ensure that contamination of the manufacturing process keep under control. If air is taken as an example, then there are well-established methods of measuring particles and microorganisms and standards such as ISO. ISO should be used to set limits. However, if personnel handling the product cause the hazard and the contamination control. The method used to monitor hazards within a clean room and the frequency of sampling are discussed in previous chapters. Given in table 15.2 are some well-known clean room hazards, their routes of transfer and control, and how to monitor. And also given in the table is the section of this book where further information may be found. In table 15.2 and step 4 of the contamination control system outlined in section 15.1. It requires a valid sampling method, and the term validate can be defined as ensuring that something is fit for the purpose or works well in the situation in which it is being used. In terms of monitoring, the following required to be demonstrated. Step 5. Establishing a monitoring schedule with alert and action levels. Some monitoring systems are continuous, as is in the case with particle coating in high-quality clean rooms, but on the other hand, some inconsequential contamination sources such as the ceiling are not monitored. The frequency of monitoring will have to be determined for each hazard or control method. For each individual's clean room, this should be set up with due regard to the importance of the hazard, and the higher the risk, the more frequent the sampling should be. It is also necessary to decide what corrective action should be taken when the monitoring results shows that the hazard is not under control. A useful approach here is to set alert and action conditions, and these are also called warning and alarm levels. In a clean room, it will be normal to consider only upper limits and ignore the lower ones, as low contamination levels are not a hazard. The alert level should be set to indicate that the contamination concentration are higher than the might be expected, but are still under control. Nothing will normally be done if the alert level is exceeded, as this is a warning to be on the alert for future problems. However, several alerts in a relatively short time might suggest that action is required. The action level should be set such that when it is exceeded, there should be an investigation.
Step 6. Verification and appraisal of the system. This method must now be set in place to check that the system has been correctly implemented. Verification about the system is working well can also be carried out by the measurements of the particle or microbial levels in samples of the final product. Simulation of the process, e.g. filling containers with microbiological medium and ascertaining the microbial contamination. It is also useful, so it is also possible to verify the effectiveness of the control. To reassess the following: 1. The relative importance of the hazard. 2. The necessity and the methods for controlling the hazards. And 3. The effectiveness of the control methods. 4. The correctness of the monitoring schedule. And 5th, or the last, whether the action and alert levels should be lower or raised.
Step 7. Alert levels can be also reported, particularly those with a multiple or unusual occurrences. When actions level are exceeded, this should be reported. The action taken to correct the deviations or the explanations as to why no actions was necessary should always be documented. And now let's proceed to Step 8. Staff training. People working in the clean rooms should be trained in how to conduct themselves within the minimized contamination. They should be trained both when they first arrive at the clean room and throughout their careers. Suitable items for sealable can be selected, from the index of this book. And that's all for today, and thank you for watching.